Hi guys, I'm going to read the first couple of chapters of our book. It's called The Unforgotten Coat by Frank Cottrell Boyce. Hope you like it. I'm going to show you the photo first because the author describes it. I hadn't seen this photograph since the day it was taken until now. Even so, I can tell you everything you want to know about it. The boy on the left is Shocky. The one on the right is Duncan, who used to come to school with biscuits in his pocket. He's married now, inexplicably. The girl on the left is Mimi too, and the one on the right is me. At the moment the picture was taken, I was mostly wondering whether Mimi would ask me back to hers after school. Mimi's mother let her play with makeup, which my mother definitely would not, even though I was mature and sophisticated. I was also thinking, oh my days, Shocky has just put his hand on my shoulder. Once, just before Christmas, I'd managed to manipulate Shocky into being my partner in a classroom activity. This should have resulted in a moment of physical contact because it was a trust game. Only it turned out that Shocky was not to be trusted. And by the time this photograph was taken, Shocky had completed an unbroken run of 237 days of failing to notice my existence. How do I remember my thoughts so clearly? Because those were the only thoughts I had in the first 2 terms of Year 6. Number 1, Mimi, can I come back to yours? And number 2, Shocky, please notice me. Also, this photograph was taken in the summer term of Year 6. And doesn't everyone remember everything about their last summer in primary school? The sports day, the leavers trip, the leavers photograph, the endless discussion of which school you were going to next, the promise to stay friends even though you were going to different schools, everyone signing their names on everyone else's shirts on the last afternoon. And all the time you had the feeling that day by day, inch by inch, the door was opening and sunshine was pouring in. And any day now, you'll be allowed out through that door, laughing and yelling so loud that you wouldn't even hear it when the door closed behind you forever. I can tell you when it was taken. It was the second week of the summer term, during morning break. Mimi spotted 2 kids, one big and one little. The big one holding the little one's hand, staring through the railings of the playground. The little one was wearing a furry hat and they had identical coats. Mad coats. Long, like dressing gowns, with fur inside. But any coat would have looked mad. The sun was beating down. The tarmac in the car park was melting. Everyone else was in t-shirts. Mimi went over and said, "What are you 2 looking at?" The big one put his finger on his lips, shushing her, and said, "Pay attention to your teacher." He pointed at Mrs. Spenlove, and the very minute he did, she blew the whistle for the end of break, like he knew she was going to do it. When we were all lined up, somehow these 2 were standing right next to me. I was looking at the littlest one who had his hat pulled right down over his eyes. It looked so uncomfortable. I wanted to fix it for him, but the big one put his hand under my chin and turned my head away. "Don't look at him," he said. He was asking for a slap, quite honestly. But before I could do anything about it, Mrs. Spenlove was walking us into class. The 2 boys went straight to the back and the little one made himself at home in what was supposedly my seat. I stood there, staring right at him, thinking he'd take the hint. But no. Mrs. Spenlove said, "Everyone, I'd like you all to say a big hello to a new face in our class. A happy new face, I hope. This is Chinggis." Everyone said hello except me. I said, "What about the other one, miss? What's he called?" She hadn't noticed the little one until then. "Oh, Chinggis," she said. "I'm afraid your little brother isn't in this class. He's in Miss Hoyle's class, just along the corridor." "No," said Chinggis. "My brother is in this class." Look, he's here next to me. Everyone laughed except Mrs. Spenlow. Sorry, she said. I mean, he belongs in Miss Hoyle's class, and she was flapping her hands at the rest of us to be quiet, mortified because she thought we were laughing at him. It was her fault. But I was standing next to him, and I could see he hadn't made a mistake. He was digging in. Julie, would you show Chinggis's brother to Miss Hoyle's class, please? I certainly would. For one thing, I wanted my seat back. As soon as I stepped forwards towards the little one, though, the big one put his hand up right in my face and said, "No." Excuse me. He must stay with me. I'm bound to take care of him, to protect him. I must stay with him. Well, it doesn't really work like that, Chinggis. For one thing, once he's in Miss Hoyle's class, she'll protect him. And besides, he won't really need protecting because he wasn't even listening. He just took out some pencils and stuff and settled down to do a bit of drawing. Mrs. Spenlow opened up her laptop and poked around for a little bit. "Ah," she said, talking to the class directly. Excuse me, talking to the little one directly. "You need to go to a different class. Come." And she started trying to spell out his unbelievable name syllable by syllable. But before she got to the third syllable, Chinggis looked up again and said, No. Just like that. It was the second time he'd said no to her. Once might be a mistake. Twice was game on. Definitely. We were witnessing a struggle for power. Mrs. Spenlow made the first play. "Excuse me," she said. "Call him Nergai," he said. "It's easier." Which was definitely cheek in her face, telling Miss Spenlow what to do, telling her she wouldn't be up to the job of pronouncing someone's actual name. Mrs. Spenlow slapped that down. "Well, that's not what I've got here," she said, and tried spelling out the long name again. Chinggis stood up. She looked him in the eye. He said, "Please." Please was good. Please was some kind of stand down. Please was definitely points to her. She closed the laptop really, really slowly. "Okay," she said. "Just for today, you can stay in this class. Okay." Chinggis said thank you and sat back down. It looked like victory to Miss Spenlow. Except that somehow this kid had ended up with everything he wanted. His little brother was sitting next to him, being called by some unofficial name. Maybe Mrs. Spenlow sensed this. Maybe that's why she decided now she had to push it. "So, if you take your hat off, Nergai," she said, "we can all get started." The kid didn't move, and neither did Chinggis. They both just sat there with a "what are you going to do about it" kind of face, pretending they didn't understand. We'll stop there.